route is complete for Monday Night Football as the New England Patriots absolutely destroy the Houston Texans 42-14. This was an utter bloodbath that was essentially over in the first half, and the Patriots went into halftime 21-0 and then came right out of halftime and dropped a 63-yard touchdown pass from Tom Brady to Dante Stallworth right on top of the Texans. They were up 28-0, and then the game was a laugher at halftime and became even more of a yuck fest after they came out of halftime. Patriots had over 400 yards of offense. Tom Brady threw 4 touchdowns. Texans looked completely out of sync, in particular Matt Schaub. Just a bad performance overall for the Houston Texans, and a very dominating performance, a statement game for the New England Patriots, who are now one step closer to potentially overtaking the Houston Texans for the #1 overall spot in the AFC and potentially home field in the AFC playoffs. If you're the Texans coming out of this game, you just got to let it go and move on. They still control their own destiny to get the #1 seed in the playoffs, and they face the Indianapolis Colts next week. If you're the Patriots, you're feeling really good about this game. They stuck it to the Texans, and they stuck it to them hard. And it was basically just the Patriots outplaying the Texans in all 3 phases of the football game. Boring game to watch unless you were a Patriot fan. We'll now segue into something that is infinitely more interesting than the Monday Night Football game, and we'll start by quoting the great poet Jim Mora when he said, "Playoffs?" Because that's what we're going to talk about, playoff scenarios in the AFC for 2012. Now there's 2 divisions that are already locked up, and there's 1 team that's already guaranteed a playoff spot. 2 divisions locked up are the AFC East, which is now owned by the New England Patriots, and the AFC West, which the Denver Broncos have locked up. The team that's got a guaranteed playoff spot is the Houston Texans, but they have not, amazingly, locked up the AFC South. And the AFC North is completely wide open right now, and that's where actually we're going to start in the AFC North. And the Baltimore Ravens, they're at 9-4 right now, and for a 9-4 team, they seem rather desperate. They just fired their offensive coordinator Cam Cameron this week and replaced him with Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell last year was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And this is interesting because Baltimore's 2 games up in their division, and they seem poised to win their division. And they will win their division if this Sunday they defeat the Denver Broncos at home. Denver Broncos quarterbacked by Peyton Manning, who was the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts under Jim Caldwell last year. So all kinds of storylines going on there. Bottom line with Baltimore, they beat the Broncos this Sunday. They are in the playoffs. They can also get in the playoffs if they tie the Broncos and or the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals lose their games. They can also get in the playoffs if both the Steelers and the Bengals tie their games or lose their games this week. So if the Steelers and the Bengals lose, the Baltimore Ravens get in. Basically for Baltimore, they beat the Broncos this week. They're going to win their division. It's just that simple. And then they're basically trying to fight it out to get what playoff seed they're going to get. So they're either fighting for the 3 seed or the 4 seed. It seems to be right now they're locked in to the #4 seed going into the playoffs. For the AFC South, the Houston Texans are guaranteed a playoff spot, but they have not locked up the AFC South yet, amazingly. Bottom line with them, if they beat the Indianapolis Colts at home this Sunday, they win the South. And they're really in the driver's seat for home field. For the Indianapolis Colts, they're seemingly locked into the 5th spot right now, but they actually control their own destiny to win the AFC South, and it plays out this way. The Texans and the Colts play each other 2 of the next 3 weeks. If the Colts win out and win their next 3 games, sweeping the Texans along the way, they win the AFC South, and that is amazing considering what this Colts team and what this franchise was last year, how they started this year, and then all the players they have on their roster and all the obstacles they've had to overcome. The head coach who's suffered from leukemia, rookie quarterback, numerous rookies on offense and defense. Really is an amazing story in Indianapolis, and they do control their own destiny to win the AFC South. It's unlikely because Houston Texans are a really good football team. They're right now in the catbird seat for home field advantage, and we'll shift to that. Home field advantage right now, Texans are in the driver's seat. If they win out, they get home field advantage. If the Texans stumble and at the end of the regular season they have the exact same record as the New England Patriots, who are right now in the #2 seed, then the Patriots would get home field advantage because the Patriots just beat the Texans on Monday Night Football. The Broncos have an outside chance to get home field advantage, but they need some things to happen. They basically need to win out, and they need the Patriots to lose 1 of their next 3, and they need the Texans to lose at least 2 of their next 3. That's unlikely, and the reason the situation plays out like that is because both the Patriots and the Texans beat the Broncos this year in the regular season. The number 6 seed in the playoffs right now is a battle between the Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Steelers are right now in that 6th seed. Oh, by the way, Week 16 will be Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. We're going to go out on a big limb and say that's going to be a big football game, and that game will most likely determine who will get the 6th seed in the AFC playoffs. Amazingly, the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns are still mathematically in the playoff race, thanks to scintillating 2-game win streaks by both teams. Basically, what they need to have happen is they got to win out, and pretty much everybody else has to lose, especially the Colts, the Steelers, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's not muddy the waters by saying that the Jets and the Browns have a chance. They do, but let's not ruin a good thing. They have to have a lot of things happen for them. They have to have a lot of stuff happen. One of the things that has to happen specifically for the Jets, if the Colts lose out and the Jets win out, they would both have identical 9-7 records at the end of the year, and that would put the Jets in the playoffs because the Jets beat the Colts this year in the regular season, so they would win the head-to-head tiebreaker. Right now, coming into Week 15, what you have is you have number 1 Houston, you have number 2 New England, number 3 Denver, number 4 Baltimore, number 5 Indianapolis, and number 6 Pittsburgh. And what that means is that the wild card round would put Pittsburgh at Denver, which is where they were last year in the playoffs. No Tim Tebow, enter Peyton Manning. And you would have the Indianapolis Colts going to Baltimore, and all kinds of storylines are happening there. Chuck Pagano used to be the defensive coordinator in Baltimore, and as we said earlier, Jim Caldwell used to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So this is shaping up to be a wild and crazy and awesome AFC playoff race. For SB Nation, I'm Brad Wells.